Recording in progress.
Yo, what up? What's good, fam? I'm your boy Trey Frazier, and I got my brother Maestro Styles with me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let's go. It's another episode of the Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast. Special shout out to everybody watching us live on our Twitter handle at Barbershop SPOR2. Also watching us on our YouTube channel, followed by our Facebook page. And you can also follow us on the gram at Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast. Maestro, man, what's good? What's popping?
What's good, man? Fresh off fight weekend, obviously.
Yep.
I got a little story to tell, man. That wasn't the only interesting fight that happened over the weekend. So, let's say 3 years ago. We shout out to Deadstock DMV. We were invited to do like a little commentating type of thing. That didn't necessarily go our way. But I met this cat named APAP, who an Instagram comedian type dude, whatever.
Yep.
It was a brief conversation, but met him, cool dude, whatever. I see him around the way, on my travels or whatever. I see him a lot around my way, actually, or I used to see him a lot around my way, actually, with some female or whatever.
Right.
Fast forward to Saturday, I'm on Instagram and I'm seeing, like rappers, cats from the area, laughing the dude out. Come to find out, I hadn't heard of the dude real on social media too crazy until recently, Saturday. This dude has become a boxer.
Yeah.
And it didn't go well for him in his first fight. But it was interesting as hell to see that APAP is now boxing. Apparently.
So who was his opponent?
Some cat named Waleed Sharks. This wasn't even. I had it confused. I was telling somebody it was one of the undercards on the Gervonta Davis fight, but it was on the zone.
Okay.
Around the same time, I guess, or maybe a little earlier. But all that to say, man, shout out to I don't know if you still call him APAP or call him by his government name, Stamar Mitchell. But the Bama moved all the way out to LA, and he working on this shit now. So shout out to him, man, because I had all types of jokes, but I sat and realized, like, man, that was legit his first fight, and you know what I'm saying. So shout out to him for and good luck to him in his journey, man. But that was crazy. I was not expecting to see that on Saturday.
Yeah,
he didn't last long though. He lasted the first round. He definitely got dropped in the second round. But for his first fight, shout out to him.
Hey, shout out to him making moves. So you said he's from the area, right?
Yeah, he's from Maryland. So
okay.
But like I said, I knew him. I met him at that event, that basketball tournament for Deadstock DMV.
Yep.
And it was just crazy to see him.
That's
oh shit, because you don't think about it until you see it. I was like, damn, I did wonder where he was at or whatever. And
special guest alert.
Yeah. So
we may want to holler at him and get him on here, man.
Yeah, I mean, our conversation was brief, but
Yeah.
We'll see what's up.
No doubt. Shout out to the homie Vince Wright. Facebook Live chat. He says, "Go Timberwolves," and I got news for you, bro.
Yep.
It's a wrap tonight.
It's a wrap.
It's a wrap tonight, man.
I got it written on my notes.
It's a wrap tonight. But speaking of fights, man, we got our boy coming on. It's been a while since we had him on. We call him A-Train around the way, but he goes by Alex Burgos, RBRboxing.com, Round by Round Boxing, RBR Recap. You can follow him on Instagram and all the other social media platforms. He's going to come on with us in about 5 to 10 minutes and just kind of recap this Davis-Garcia fight, and we'll talk about some other opponents coming up. But bro, I gotta tell you, man, Sunday was
Oh Lord.
Sunday was a great day, man.
I was expecting a Jalen Brunson jersey by now, man.
Yeah, yo, it was crazy. I walked up in there and first of all, shout out to the homie Sim Russell, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Having me on his platform doing the post game joint. Shout out to NYC Legends Restaurant that hosted us doing the post game joint. Everything went perfect Sunday. I mean, I'm not just talking about the game itself, but just the ride up there on the train. Got on the 8 o'clock joint. Got to the arena about 11 o'clock in the morning. They let everybody in, walking through the team store and all that. And I was about to cop me something out that team store. But I was like, you know what? I actually saw RJ Barrett bobblehead. And I was like, you know what? I could probably get Nate something here. But I was like, you know what? If they've been kind of harping on RJ a little bit, they mess around and trade him at some point, but I said, nah, let me just hold off a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, the vibes at the game was cool, man. The box suite, the luxury joint, fire, Latrell Sprewell, shout out to the legend, came through, unexpectedly.
Yeah.
Everybody took pictures with him. We got the group picture in. Atmosphere was just vibing. And more importantly, the Knicks got the dub. We're up 3-1. Outside the arena afterwards was crazy. And surprisingly too, Maestro, I ran into my sister-in-law, Joanne. Shout out Joanne and my niece Jade. They were at the Paw Patrol musical, which was in the same building as the game.
Wow.
And I didn't even know that they were going to the musical, but I'm walking out the arena. I'm walking with the fellas actually, about to head down to the restaurant, and I look over to my left and I saw my cousins over there. I was like, oh snap, what they doing over here? Hollered at them, and we was like just surprised to just run into each other and stuff.
Yeah.
And so that was cool. That was cool to run into them. And then, like I said, me, the homie Sim, shout out Steph, Tony, shout out Jay Boogie. Dude actually had his song played on the during one of the timeouts.
Okay.
Cat named Jay Boogie. I got to get his social media info, but the dude is nice, man. Dude, like 55 years old, still rhyming. So
yeah.
So that was dope as well, man. But all in all, man, it was a great weekend. And then and then yesterday the news cycle was crazy with layoffs from ESPN. Don Lemon gets fired. The Fox News cat gets let go. I don't really care about him all that much, but still, people getting laid off and all this stuff. And then Rodgers, they finally, get the deal done with the Jets with the trade.
Yeah,
there.
what's the do you got the compensation, or what exactly happened?
I ain't gonna lie to you. I don't know exactly what it is, but there were picks. It definitely involved some picks.
Okay, no, I think I got my fault. Aaron Rodgers, the Jets got Aaron Rodgers, number 15 pick overall, 2023 fifth round pick.
Okay.
The Packers get the 13th pick in the draft, a 2023 second round pick.
Yep.
A 6th round pick, a conditional 2024 second round pick that becomes a first round pick if Rodgers plays 65% of plays.
That's it. That's right. I remember. I remember that part of it. The percentage of snaps that he had to play, and it's crazy. It's not percentage of games. It's percentage of snaps, which could mean something totally different than how many games he plays. But that's kind of crazy.
But still kind of ties in though. I mean, I would expect that. I would expect that to become a first rounder for the Packers. Quite honestly.
So you don't think he's gonna?
I think he will. I think he will play 65% of snaps. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. Because I think that now I think you got to put the Jets in the AFC as far as hierarchy. They're a playoff contender. I won't go as far as to say they're a Super Bowl contender just yet, but I think they're certainly. Well, let me take that back. they're in contention for the AFC East crown.
100%.
They're in contention for that, which
I was going to say
equivalates to them being a playoff team.
Right.
I don't necessarily know that they're going to be able to get to the Super Bowl, but if you're the Jets and you're Joe Douglas and the crew, you had to make this move. Like we saw the quarterback play last year, and it wasn't great, and they were 7-4 at one point with that bad quarterback play.
Right.
So they had to make this happen, and now we finally get to see Mahomes versus Rodgers for once, because I know they play the Chiefs this year. So we're finally going to get to see that after 4 tries. It seemed like every time they go up against each other, one of them is injured or the other one got COVID. So so we finally going to get to see that. Any thoughts further about
you kind of said it all. I definitely think that they are. I think they are not just competition. I think they're the favorites in the East right now. Good defense. Lazard, not Lazard because he's a great number one receiver. Because by the way, he's not. Yeah. Just that if all else fails, we know Aaron Rodgers know how to get it to Lazard. They also got Garrett. They got pieces on offense.
Yep.
The point is they got pieces on offense.
McCole Hardman. We didn't mention that before.
Right. The defense is pretty good. Buffalo, I think we all agree outside of Buffalo that they are regressing. Yeah,
I think that's the right word. They've regressed a bit. I mean,
so they'll still be there. This will be a tight division.
Yeah,
like it was last year.
Yep.
But I think Aaron Rodgers going to that team changes that. I think they're the favorites. I think they're the favorites. I don't think Buffalo gets it this year.
And let's keep in mind they beat Buffalo somewhere in the middle of the season.
Yeah, when Buffalo was going through that little spat of
Yep. So you got to think with Rodgers and Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall comes back healthy. You got to think that at best they're gonna go 1-1 against them. If not, otherwise a sweep.
Yeah. I think they're winning. I think they're winning my prediction early. They're winning that division. Now, obviously, I don't think they got no Super Bowl aspiration. Well, not aspiration. I don't think they're going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
but
they better have aspirations.
Yeah, they better have aspirations. But I don't think it's gonna work. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna go out. I don't think that's gonna go in their favor. But they're definitely going to win that division. As far as the AFC as a whole, I mean, who we scared of in the East in the AFC right now? Obviously the Chiefs,
defending Super Bowl champs.
Obviously the Chiefs, the Bengals.
Yeah. Back-to-back AFC title game appearances. Yeah, you got to consider that.
I'm just talking about in the whole scope of the AFC. I guess. Yeah. You got to respect Buffalo because of where they were, but I don't know that. I don't think. I think it's only two teams that the Jets are scared of in AFC.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? But
everybody else, I think you look at they run into Jacksonville, they could beat Jacksonville.
Yeah.
They run into the Chargers, they could beat the Chargers.
They could beat the Chargers, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers definitely puts them on paper. Probably the third best team in the AFC.
Mm-hmm. Even with a Sean Payton in the AFC now and how that offense looks, they're better than the Broncos. We
don't know how that's going to look.
We don't know. But I would imagine that they're gonna beat Denver, or they could handle Denver, I should say. So
yeah, because quite frankly, I'm not even putting Denver in that conversation right now because all I have is what they did. Yeah, what they did last year. And maybe he turns it around in 1 year, but probability is that he doesn't.
Yeah.
And I don't think on paper their roster is better than the Jets roster.
Yeah, and they were trying to trade Judy and Sutton at one point too.
Right.
So
right.
We'll see what happens. The draft is 2 days from now, and so a lot of stuff that I'm hearing, man. If you remember, maybe last week or a couple weeks ago. Pac-Man Jones on Pat McAfee's show was alluding to a DeAndre Hopkins trade. Now, a few weeks ago, he said that the Ravens were in on D-Hop to, get traded.
Yeah.
Now, maybe earlier today's show, I saw a clip of Pat McAfee and Pac-Man Jones was on there, and he was still saying like, "Yo, my sources is really telling me that at some point we're gonna see a DeAndre Hopkins trade." And Pat was like, "We talking like this week, like tomorrow?" Like and Pac-Man was like, "We could see something this week."
Yeah.
And I'm going to assume that it's going to happen on draft night. So
on draft night. Okay.
Yep, that's what I'm assuming. So
okay, kind of like an AJ Brown type of vibe from last year.
AJ Brown thing, kind of like Hollywood Brown, because that kind of came out of nowhere too. Him, when we traded him to Arizona, that was a draft night trade for draft picks. So we could see something like that.
Okay.
I think so. So yeah, we'll see what happens. So the other news that kind of crept up yesterday afternoon in the middle of all the Rodgers stuff in the NBA and the NBA playoff games yesterday was wild, bruh. We gonna get into that, but
yeah.
Ime Udoka is the new head coach of the Houston Rockets.
Yes, sir.
I love this move. You got a bunch of young boys on this squad. Props to Steven Silas for doing what he could. In the midst, he lost his dad, if I remember correctly. He lost his father.
But he wasn't there long either. So I mean,
3 years. Yeah, he was there 3 years. He was there 3 years.
That's not long enough with so much youth. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's long enough.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not. And I get he tried to do what he could, with the young boys, but it sounded like to me that
I'm good. I'm still here.
Yeah, I got you. It sounded to me like the upper management in Houston kind of wanted to tank, and Silas and the boys was really trying to play. But I watched some of their games this past year, and they just was looking really like crazy and stuff. So I think Ime Udoka, I think that's a good pickup for the Rockets, and I hope he can, instill some of that leadership within them young boys over there, and I think they'll be a much better team for that. So, let's get the homie back here.
Yes, sir.
We know him around the way here. Shout out Montgomery County's finest.
Nobody calls him that anymore. I'm sure nobody calls him that anymore.
But we know him as A-Train, but he goes by Alex Burgos, founder of Round by Round Boxing. You can check him out at RBRboxing.com. Also RBR Recap. You can follow that on the Instagram page at RBR Recap. Alex, man, what's good, man? Thank you for joining us again.
No, I appreciate you guys having me, man. I've been it's been a long time, but I remember being on one of the earlier iterations, and I always wanted to jump back on and chop it up sports wise with you guys. Good to see you. I follow the show. I'm a big supporter of you guys personally and professionally. So shout out to you. I like to see the longevity and you guys continuing to do your thing. Kudos to you. And shout out all of Moco.
No doubt. So before we get started with Garcia and Davis, I just want to for a brand new audience of people that in this new iteration of the Barbershop Sports Talk podcast, let everybody know, kind of introduce yourself to our audience, and let them know how you got started with your own podcast, covering boxing and all your social media stuff and your platforms.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate the chance to talk a little bit about what I do. I've been covering boxing for a little over 11 years. I started with Bleacher Report back in the day, and was writing syndicated stuff for LA Times and Sports Illustrated. And it was around the time Floyd was in the twilight of his career, fighting, the Robert Guerreros and those guys. But enjoyed covering boxing as a lifelong passion of mine, just watching boxing, being a fan of the sport. It was fun. Just like I got a chance to cover the Redskins in those days, who are now the Commanders, obviously, but it was cool because getting into Bleacher Report, they kind of, put me through all of this type of training, writing and such. I studied journalism, mass media, communication. So you have like that classroom aspect, but when you really get into the trenches and you start learning, you learn a different aspect of it. And so I picked it up relatively quick. It was cool. I loved covering the sport. Was something that I always wanted to do. And then a buddy of mine was like, you should start your own thing. And so, in those days, I now own a marketing consulting firm. I build websites and things like that. But in those days, I wasn't building as many websites. I wasn't doing that end as much. So he was like, we'll build you a website, just do what you're doing at Bleacher Report, but just start your own thing. It'll be better in the long run. Long story short, I did that, paid dividends. And I think what's been really cool for me is being able to give other people the platform. So, sometimes I'll have a kid in Birmingham, England, or an Arizona State University student, and they get college credits for covering sports for round by round boxing. I mean, to me, that's, huge. If I was like, if I had that back in the day, I mean, who knows? Mike, I mean, when we were, chopping it up, making beats and whatnot. I mean, you always want someone, a mentor or
Absolutely.
such, in anything, if you have a passion for it. And so to even let like, yeah, you may not be the rapper, you may not end up being the producer, you may not end up being the lead editor of the magazine, but there are areas where you can get in, where you fit in and learn different things for your passion. And so, that's what I try to impart, the little bit that I've learned over these years. And I get a chance to, like I said, give other people the platform. And it's fun because now, while I don't get to write as much, I do the podcast now, and I get to front face with fighters and, managers and trainers and all that stuff. Now we have a little following, through the website and the Instagram and that stuff. But at the end of the day, yeah, one of the best things that I like to do is give people a platform. And, whether it's a hobby or a lifelong passion. I mean, now I have guys, Gabriel Rivas, who started with us. He went to Golden Boy. Now he's the PR director at Top Rank.
Wow.
Hans Demostode, who, grinded and, it's with Fight Hype now and boxing scene. So I'm never a guy that was ever like, you have to come here and then you got to stay here. My thing was always, you come here, I'm going to teach you everything that I know. If you work hard, I guarantee it will benefit you in some other, realm. And so those are two guys that I could say are a good example of that, because now they're at the pinnacle of the sport. And, you got you sprinkling a little round by round boxing all over the
nice.
game. So,
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's what I like, man. So, yeah. And, always the passion. The local scene is where I started. Dusty Hernandez, when he, started his career, I covered Tank's first fight to bring it full circle. Tank fought on Lamont Peterson versus Kendall Holt at the Armory back in the day, over 10 years ago. That was his pro debut. So full circle, you know what I mean? Now these guys that have become the champs and the, the names of their day, I've been doing it since then. It's been fun, man. I can't say anything else, but it's been fun.
Man, so you brought me right to my question. I was telling Trey a story before you got on about this cat named Stamar Mitchell. Who got his first fight on his own Saturday, who I thought was, but I know him as a IG comedian cat dude I met on whatever. Do you have any information on this dude as a boxer?
I do not. No.
Okay, yeah, Stamar Mitchell. He fought Waleed Sharks. Are you familiar with him at all?
Yeah,
okay,
I know the name.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to. I'm gonna ask you about this a little later on, I guess, because it was funny as hell to me, because I only know the dude from Instagram videos. Like, he's legit a funny ass dude. He do stand up comedy in real life. So I'm thinking it's like some like celebrities, some the shit that's been going on nowadays. But no, he legit got his first pro fight. I went and looked up Sharks a little bit, like, oh, Slim, he really fights. Yeah. So I did want to know if you had heard anything about Stamar Mitchell, aka APAP, who got knocked out in the second round.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do some research now that you mentioned it. So
yeah, he's from Maryland. He's a Maryland cat. So yeah, I definitely wanted to throw that on your radar. Now, for sure. Get into the shits. Getting to the shits.
Yes.
Obviously, my boy, he my favorite now that Deontay Wilder and kind of went to the wayside. Gervonta Tank Davis beating Ryan Garcia, punched him viciously. What's your take on the fight?
Man, so leading up to the fight, I did a bunch of clips and podcasts and stuff, just talking previews and things like that. And it was exciting for me because as the days got closer, it started to feel more like one of those big buzz mega fights.
Yeah.
And so like, of the vein of like the De La Hoya days and, Mayweather and, that pay-per-view stuff kind of got lost now with the streaming and all that. But I felt like we had a little bit of that back with this. And what I liked was, these guys are the new school, the new age. And while it may not have been a super fight because of in-ring accolades, they did have star power outside of the ring. And
Absolutely.
that's kind of like to what you're mentioning, this guy might be a comedian or this or that, or, like the KSI fights and Logan Paul's. I mean, there's different people bringing different eyeballs to the sport. These guys just bring fight fans, but they are bigger outside of, just being a fighter. And so I thought that was cool. They hopped on each other's IG live during the week and, they're promoting the fight in different ways. If you would have told anybody IG live is going to be a platform where, fighters are going to argue during the fight week and create more buzz a couple years ago, you'd have been like, huh? But some people might have been like, what the hell is IG live anyways? You know what I mean? Like, so all these different things, and they're using these platforms, which to me is exciting as a digital marketer and social media person. Like, you got to be able to know how to use these different things to promote a fight. So from that aspect, kudos to both guys. They did their thing. It was awesome. Now, I always thought going into the fight, and I said it on every platform that I got a chance to speak on, Gervonta Davis is just that dude. I mean, there was a notch, there was a level that he showed on Saturday that he was just above Ryan. Ryan did not have a game plan. He did not have ideas outside of, let me try to land this check left hook, close my eyes, and swing for the fences. And that you can get away with that stuff against the lower tier or older guys that have been at a higher level, and your flashy speed and athleticism. I think we see it now with Teofimo Lopez too. Your athleticism is going to take you so far. If you don't have a game plan, and if you don't understand that, there's different parts of fights that need to be played out, which is why I always Tank, not so much this past fight, but a lot of times he gives up those early 1 to 5 rounds. He's not sleeping. He's not doing nothing. He's downloading the data. For as much as people want to say, oh, Lomachenko high tech, he's a computer, this and that. Tank is just as bad in that area. Like, I mean, he's a bad boy. Is what I mean. Like, he's smart. He's downloading data. He's measuring distance. He knows what he has to do. And everyone's always like, oh, well, he's a shorter guy. He's got the shorter distance. And that's been his whole life. That's been his whole career. You think he's not used to that? He's not ready for that? So everything he needed to show, he did. I thought he was on his P's and Q's, crossed all the T's, dotted all the I's. And I saw after that first knockdown, man, it was going to be an early night. And for anyone that listens to us for, just kind of betting talk and betting tips and whatnot, all the homies that were over, I said 6, 7, 8 Tank, or just Tank KO TKO. It was about 5 or 6 of us. We made a good bag of money because before the fight, I'm like, just throw something down, man, throw something down. And that's what it ended up being. And Tank is now even more so for maybe people that didn't believe, just a notch above some of these other guys. And you could have that, but
he's the best in my mind right now. I mean, on a lightweight level, he's the best right now for me.
So what was the Ryan Davis hype? Because I heard you say he kind of went in there with no game plan. And I can tell you my experience with Ryan Davis is watching him punch Juju Smith-Schuster in the stomach on social media. So it was him going around punching people in the stomach, and it looked like it hurt. But I mean, to my, obviously you more into the sport than I am, but it seemed like he hadn't really fought anybody. And I know people would say, well, that's the same thing about Tank Davis, but Ryan Davis really ain't fought nobody to my knowledge. So what was going in? He's fast, I get it. What was the hype behind Ryan Davis going in?
Yeah, Ryan Garcia is like, because he signed. Yeah, Ryan Garcia is the new school. They consider him the new school De La Hoya because he's the pretty boy. He signed to Oscar's imprint in Golden Boy, and so he's got that kind of like following of the young girls and whatever. So he's got that popularity. And what now? If Oscar was around nowadays, he would be a big Instagram star, whatever it is. You know what I mean? So so that he had that going for him. As far as a fighter, it's yet to be seen. It remains to be seen if he's ever going to live up to the hype of his other stuff. You could be, this media person and do this, but you gotta come along for the ride in the boxing aspect. And so That remains to be seen. Obviously, anyone that stands still and lets themselves get hit in the stomach, it's gonna hurt. I don't care if you have a pad. If you've ever worn the pad, or you've even held pads and let people hit you. There's a padding. The other guy has a glove, but that shit still hurts. Still hurts your hand.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, all that stuff is for show. Like I said, even if you watch the media workouts and whatnot, if you do slow-mo, you see Ryan as like this, eyes closed, throwing punches. And anyone who knows boxing, speed can be timed. And when you're in there just throwing blind left hooks, I mean, it'll work for some people like Danny Garcia, who we could go back, but that's a whole nother thing. Sometimes a blind check left hook will find a home. But no, generally speaking, especially against a high-level, intelligent guy like Gervonta Davis, that stuff's not going to work. And so, Mike, to your point, I mean, it's just we needed to see, and this would have, catapulted him to another level, because we would have been like, oh man, I mean, he has an amateur pedigree, a strong amateur pedigree. Fought Devin Haney 6 times, split those 3-3. So I mean, he's got that going for him. But as a pro, as of right now, it's been a little bit more bark than bite, a little bit more hype than actual substance. And look, he's still young. If he's got the hunger, if he's got the will, if he moves up and he actually starts beating some names, I think he even said like, he'd like a rematch, but he knows he's got to beat some guys to even get back into that conversation. Nobody's going to want to see any, Ryan Garcia against anyone unless Ryan can actually get a notable victory under his belt.
Yeah. And I was going to ask you, that kind of goes into my next question here. In your opinion, respectively, for these two individuals, what's next for Tank and what's next for Ryan Garcia?
Yeah, so from Tank's perspective, the world is his oyster. I mean, maybe even 6 months ago, we would have been like, shit, we're never going to see Ryan Garcia fight Tank. And then look, this thing fell in our lap because the two fighters wanted it. Where there's a will, there's a way. Now, if you gave me my pick, I mean, the winner of Haney Lomachenko, Shakur Stevenson, I mean, those names are the guys that, would challenge Tank, potentially beat him. But also if he beats them, I mean, now we're talking about all-time great status. So, and look, I wouldn't, dare to make a bet on who, because for me, skills pay the bills. Shakur Stevenson is the best right now. For me. Okay. But I mean, that's a toss-up. Him and Tank, I mean, that's hard to say.
I literally just got finished watching a video of Shakur Stevenson saying him versus Tank would be like MJ versus LeBron. I don't know. Man. I didn't know. I didn't get the correlations.
Man, it's just like it's that good, and they've sharpened iron sharpens iron. They've sparred in the past together, and they know how good one another is. That fight would just be incredible. I mean, you also got other guys like Josh Taylor or Teofimo Lopez in and around that range. But I think the two guys are, assuming I think Devin Haney will beat Lomachenko, but assuming Devin Haney wins that fight, him and Shakur is another fight. So you got these young guys in and around that weight class that, man, they're pure boxers, they're smart boxers. Tank has got that X factor though, more than any one of those other guys, which is that power.
Yeah. So what do you say? I saw it a million times Sunday when Ryan Garcia said, I can't really speak on it. Oh, the fight is rigged. He didn't really punch him. I've seen that. What's your thoughts on the fight possibly being rigged? I know your answer, but obviously you got to tell it to the people.
Well, yeah, I mean, I always think that, people look for holes and look for reasons to to further their narrative. So it's not that Ryan got the, breaks beat off of him or that he just wasn't as good as Tank. It's, this was planned. Yeah. Like, no, Tank went in there and did what he was going to do regardless. So what I took that, obviously you can take it to potentially mean like, there's something that he's not telling us. What I took it to mean was I was fresh out of ideas. I didn't have any business getting back up and trying, because then I was going to maybe get hurt in a highlight reel. Because that, while the body shot was well placed, that delayed reaction happens all the time in boxing, but it's not as flashy as the head punch that knocks you out. And I think maybe Ryan knew if I get back up, which he probably could, if I get back up, I don't have anything to offer to beat this guy, and he could potentially hurt me. And then that's a different conversation. Right. Now it's even more harder sell to bring Ryan Garcia back. While his confidence may be shaken and these other things, you can kind of bring him back up slowly. Okay, he got taken out by a pretty good body shot. But yeah, if it becomes this flashy highlight reel knockout, then the narrative of I told you he didn't have a chin comes, full circle too. And so I just think in his mind, he knew he that left hook wasn't landing. It wasn't ever going to land. And he didn't have anything to offer. I mean, for his sake, he's lucky that it ended the way that it did. I think. Yeah, you got to go back to the drawing board, man.
You kind of bought a little. Say, I can go talk shit to somebody tomorrow. I said when he knocked him down, and he went on one knee. I'm sorry. He looked at that Tank like,
like you got it.
Yeah,
you got it.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I've been saying it all day.
Yeah, sometimes and that's a big thing to do as a person too. And I mean, maybe it's the other way. Maybe he just didn't want the shit beat out of him anymore. But look, I'd be like, it's tough, man. What if I get up? What am I gonna do? Is what he's probably thinking.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
and
right.
To be able to come to that decision in that point, I mean, some people will call it quitting.
I say emotionally mature.
I say he's a smart man.
Exactly. Yeah. And live to fight another day, because if you really want to make this your bread and butter, if you really want to come back and be that guy, you still have the opportunity to do so, but you're gonna have to, lay out a game plan. You're gonna, and I talked about this too before the fight. Everyone's talking about, oh, Ryan is long, he's got the reach. And I'm like, have you ever seen Ryan fight 12 rounds behind this sharp, really good, crisp jab, like back in his? He's got it in the tool bag, but I've never seen him do it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. He didn't do it to Tank.
At all.
Yeah.
At
so,
all.
I mean, if you're going to go in there thinking that you're only going to, stop this guy based off one punch, and that's the only one that you're really loading up on and trying to hit him with, then this isn't, club fighting. This is high-level championship boxing.
I said that too, because I'll admit, now I had Gervonta Davis winning. Don't ever confuse that. But I said everybody was making it seem like it was going to be this. I fully expected him to utilize, without me being fully knowledgeable about Ryan Garcia. I can look at his height and I can look at his height. Mm-hmm. This shouldn't be a cakewalk. Mm-hmm. Like, this should be a little more difficult to decipher for Tank, because that's hard to get up under, you know what I'm saying? But it seemed like he never used it and he got right up under it, man. So I'm with you on that, man. It seemed like maybe the lights were too bright. Maybe the lights were too bright.
Yeah, I mean, at this stage, Tank's been there 1,000 times against this caliber of opponent, and I know he said after the fight, Ryan is my best, challenger, my best opponent. He said, but I don't know.
maybe he hasn't had that much competition, because that's a very. I'm not, again. I when I talk about boxing, anytime I have to get deep into a conversation, I always got to say something I heard from you back in the day when back in Silver Spring. But that ain't a hard thing for me to decipher. When I'm this tall and you're this tall, I could just keep you away from me until I get my opportunity. That's just common sense to me.
Yeah.
So for him to not do that, I was definitely disappointed. And when I saw him get dropped the first time, the way he ran into it, just like Roly ran into it last time, it was just like, all right, I literally said this ain't going past the 7th when he got dropped. I literally said the same thing.
Yeah, and I thought that was going to come later.
It came.
Yeah.
I said, geez, I wasn't expecting him to press like that in the second round.
Right.
I was not expecting him to press like that, but he got it. I remember I said, "Ooh, you better slow down," and he slowed down for the rest of the fight, because he, like you said, he was found out he didn't have it. Moving forward, man. This is the only fight I literally shook somebody's hand and made a bet on this fight before Errol Spence and Bud Crawford, man. Where we at with it? Last I heard, it was June 22nd. Is that right?
So there's no, I don't think official date or anything like that, but there's a quote from Steven Espinoza from Showtime, who just said, we're basically, if you remember in the fall, they were hyping it up as if it was a done deal.
Yeah.
He said they're closer than they were in the fall, but they're still a ways away.
And the reason for that was an injury, right? if I remember.
No, so it was in the fall it fell apart because of the money situation.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Al
Okay.
Heyman and PBC where they were getting their money and Crawford wanted more information on that and this and that. I mean, there's so many freaking storylines. In boxing, I don't like to get into the money aspect so much of it because people start talking based off of sources that don't want to be named.
Right.
And then it's like talking pay-per-view numbers.
Right.
Like, who the fuck cares? Is your pocket being lined by the money that was made? Like, no.
Yeah.
Like, now, generally speaking, yeah, we can talk numbers if it's factoring in for this fight, for example, Crawford and Spence, because from a pay-per-view number perspective or for whatever, it may not be a super fight like a lot of people are making it out to me just because the money's not there. But when we're talking about like specific finite numbers, like, oh, he's going to make this much and he wants to make sure, like, let them do that stuff behind the scenes. I don't want to know that part of the business. I don't really care. Now, what Steven Espinoza is saying is that they're closer than they were in the fall. They're still a ways away, but he's optimistic that it will happen. There's good and bad there because as much as they were hyping it up in the fall, he's saying that they're closer now and they're still a ways away. I'm like, damn, I thought we were just like really, 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 really close in the fall. And so again, it depends who you believe, depends who you listen to. What's becoming more dangerous is the advanced age. Yeah. So now we don't even know, what Bud are we gonna get? What Errol Spence are we gonna get?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, is there gonna be a tune-up, an interim in between? Like, because for the longest time, and I think super highly of both guys, but I thought it wasn't a question. Terrence Crawford beats Errol Spence. Now it's just been a lot of, on the shelf. He fought David Avanesian last time, who was shouldn't have been in the ring with him. I don't know. If we get the high level Bud, the one that's been fighting, and again, not against the higher quality opponents like Errol Spence, but still, there's just the intangibles, the thing that you see over and over again. You could say same thing about Tank. He's fighting guys that are obviously not on that level, but I still think if he gets in the ring with a Devin Haney or a Loma or a Teofimo, like, he can still do those things because he's such a good fighter. Right. And so eventually your prestige and your skills, your ability, your talent, that has to catch up with the actual resume that you have. And so Bud, for the longest time, everyone that argues, Bud shouldn't be top 5 in the pound for pound, or he would get washed by Spence. They don't believe that all the hype, matches up to his resume. So I hear that argument, but I don't agree that Crawford, that we haven't seen enough of Crawford to know just really how great he is. The sad part is that if he doesn't fight this guy, if he doesn't fight Spence, we'll just never be able to consider him one of the all-time greats. He's never going to have that Hearns to his Leonard, that Duran to his Leonard, whatever you want to call it. He's never going to have that name on his resume, and you need that, regardless of what we see.
Let me push my agenda. So literally, and the person who I made this bet with is probably going to hear the show. So so I'm pushing my agenda. So I got Errol Spence, and I've had Errol Spence when it was a hot thing. And I had Errol Spence. It's just something different about that dude. Like when you speak to like star power, it's just something about Errol Spence that makes me feel, no shade to Bud Crawford, because he a beast. Has never been an issue about him not being a beast. But quote unquote, Spence's tune-up fight was Danny Garcia. Like, what are we talking about? Like the dude, the way he approaches it is just different. I guess what I'm trying to get you to do is agree with me.
Well, look,
make your argument for Errol Spence, and I heard you. You would pick Crawford, and then you're even basing that on like, okay, he hadn't been fighting, like, kind of make a. In your opinion, what shot does Errol Spence have beating Bud Crawford?
Yeah, I mean, look, Errol Spence also, you got to throw in, just as much as I'm saying the inactivity of Bud or on that level of high level opponents. I mean, we're talking about the accident still being a factor for Errol Spence.
Yeah.
That kind of scares me as well. So for better or for worse, these guys are different now than maybe 3-4 years ago.
Oh, you're right.
I still think we've now seen Errol Spence, against Danny Garcia, Davis-Garcia, against high level guys. He's he's still a dangerous fighter. So this is still a 50-50 fight. If you're picking the truth, if you're picking Spence, I don't have, a problem with that. I think he's shown over and over again. He's got an incredible trainer in Derek James. I'm a big Derek James guy. I like him. Who also trains Jermell Charlo, now Anthony Joshua. I mean, you're talking about a camp, a collective mindset. Spence, just as much as Crawford, is a dog. He'll dig in there. He'll dig his feet in and be like, if you want to bang, let's bang. He did that against Ugas and just broke him down.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, he's obviously the bigger guy than Crawford. He's got just as much, IQ in the ring. I just, for whatever reason, I think Crawford has some tricks, up his sleeve.
Okay.
And a little bit more dog in him. But look, when I covered the Tank and Hector Garcia fight in DC in January, we got a lot of guys that came from out of town and West Coast guys that I'll chop it up with online, and I don't really get to see in person as much. So it was cool. But we did a lot of kind of just shooting the shit, grabbing lunch or whatever, talking about a lot of these fights. And so a few of the guys, their main arguments were, Crawford is not this high IQ, intelligent fighter, switch stance that everyone makes him out to be. And they were breaking down, arguments of like, he's a southpaw. Like, you know what I mean? Like he comes in or he'll come in and switch it, and he always gets hit when he's in the orthodox stance, and then he just goes back and does what he needs to do, or vice versa, excuse me.
Right.
So, that people make their arguments because, they feel maybe that Crawford gets more, I guess, hype and credit than he deserves in that aspect, or maybe also because they say, well, the commentators don't like to say that black fighters are cerebral or just naturally intelligent, so they have to like try to give them these like added traits and attributes, like, oh, he's so special, he thinks and this and that. I mean, I think there's sometimes that aspect, but I don't think for Crawford, I think he's shown us time and time again. I will say, like when I said earlier about Tank, I don't think he's ever been given the credit like Lomachenko was, high tech and he's a machine and he's downloading the data. Dude, I'll put Tank against anyone with that, because he does those same types of things, but it's never mentioned. But Crawford, I mean, I think he's a really smart fighter, crafty fighter, and Errol Spence may just impose his will.
That be my argument right there. Like, I get it, style, fights, all those things, I get it. But when you that dude, sometimes they mesh, and then they take that little something different. That's that star power. Power, that thing. So I'm with you. I won't.
And when you're in the gym with Jermell Charlo and you're doing those gym wars and stuff, like, again, iron sharpens iron. Like you're fighting against guys like that. You're gonna be coming out hungry and ready to throw down if you're Errol Spence.
Hey, you mentioned Al Heyman earlier. Another familiar face, Adrian Broner, actually parted ways with him also back in February, I believe. I know Adrian Broner was supposed to fight somebody. I think it was Mike Williams Jr., but then he had to postpone it. Not that Adrian Broner is any of the guys we just mentioned, but if you could tell us a little bit about what's been going on with him. Prayers to him, because I know we had going through some health stuff recently, but tell us a little bit about what's been going on with him, and when can we expect to see him again?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like his better days are behind him. I think for PBC and for Al Heyman, they just made that decision that eventually, like, he's always been a cash cow, and he's had that star power, so he could always pack the butts in the seats, and so as long as guys are doing that, it's easy to put them against whoever. But you kept giving him big fights. You kept putting him against the top tier guys, to his credit too, because he wasn't fighting slouches. But he kept losing. And so there's only so many guys.
A retired Pacquiao.
Right. There's only so many guys that, you want to see Adrian Broner fight when Broner's going to throw 12 punches in a fight. You know what I mean? Like, I'm exaggerating, but that's what it felt like. You're watching him and you're like, man, dude, like, I've seen you do, some pretty impressive things in the ring. And then, like, now, what's going on? So I think there was a little bit of that in the way of, parting ways. He was supposed to fight Ivan Redkach at one point, and then that fell apart, and then the whole fight card fell apart. it's just there's not much there left, I think. And then he's like now with Don King. We're not going to see Adrian Broner, headline any major pay-per-views anymore. And I say major, underline, bold that major.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to get some kind of streaming or other small card pay-per-views and stuff like that. I think his better days are behind him. I loved covering him. I thought he was a great personality. Thought he was a wild dude. He's just
still is.
Still is.
Yeah.
He had, a whole bunch of talent, and I just think he took his career, in the wrong direction too soon. I remember him jumping up 2 weight classes to fight Paul Malignaggi. He's just like, stuff like that weighs on your body, and then you get to a certain point where, again, athleticism is only going to take you so far.
Right.
Yeah.
When you don't focus on the technical aspect of boxing,
I'm glad
that's going to catch up.
I thought I was gonna have to. I thought I was gonna have to press you and ask you, because it's said all the time about him that he did not put the work in.
Mm-hmm.
And it ain't for me. It ain't no another way to slice it, because you watch him you see the talent, you see it there. It's glaring when you watch him fight, but it just didn't seem like he ever really put the work in to become a champ, like one of them dudes. But I feel like if he had put the work in, he would have been dead nice. Like we'd be talking about him like one of the best, but he never seemed like he put the work in. Yeah,
very inconsistent with the very inconsistent when it came to the work ethic, and kind of like what Maestro was saying there, just not putting enough work in there.
Yeah, he's got one of my favorite post-fight interviews though with Jim Gray. Man, he was always good for a post-fight interview.
Oh, yeah,
I forget what he exactly said, but he was like, I might be 2-2-1 in my last 5, but I'll knock you out. Or something like that.
He repped the natty very well. So
He
rep his hometown real well. So got to give him that.
Right.
I'm gonna give you the opportunity to talk some Commanders, man.
Draft coming up.
Yeah, you're looking at a new season ticket holder too, man. I just got a hold of my season tickets this year. So I'm excited about that, man. And I had an inkling, I had a feeling that Snyder would be out. So I'm like, now is the time.
Yep.
Everyone's gonna jump on the bandwagon now that he's gone, or jump back, jump ship again. Because I know a lot of people that went to the Ravens and went to Baltimore just because they couldn't stand Snyder. So there's gonna be a lot of that coming back, and then hopefully eventually we get the new stadium. But in terms of this season, I'm looking forward.
In your opinion,
I gotta stop it. I got an insider question too. Go ahead, Trey. I'll let you go first.
In your opinion, you mentioned the stadium, because me and Maestro, we've been kind of in back and forth about this. For me, and I'm not from here. I'm a New Yorker, and I root for the Ravens, right around where I live at here. But in my opinion, that stadium got to be put where the old RFK is right now. You could put some development around there. You could open up shops. The metro stops right there. To me, it's convenient. What do you say to that?
Yeah, so it's a no-brainer. It's got to go where RFK was, and also hopefully now the league participates more, that we're getting new ownership. Hopefully it's a new day for everybody, because I mean, nobody wanted to help this dude like make more money, stack money on money.
The city needs to participate.
Everyone needs to participate and just help this thing happen for the city's sake, for the area's sake. They were talking about at one point in Loudoun County, like, dude, if you go
Woodbridge,
to that part of Virginia,
Chantilly,
I'm never going there. I don't care. I know it's the DMV, man. It's not that far, but I'm never going to Loudoun or anywhere out there. Shout out to Virginia,
sure.
But I'm not going out there. I'm not going out there for a Redskins or for a Commanders game or whatever. And so I'm glad that everyone's kind of getting those talks going back towards DC. So I think that's important. And I think FedEx is just a dump. It's like a crappy stadium, man. Like it's not fun. It's just huge. It's like 80,000 plus. I mean, I was just in London a couple weeks ago. I saw Anthony.
London,
slight flex.
Slight flex. Yeah, but to the point. There's a point here. So Anthony Joshua fought in the O2 arena. I'm looking at that whole grand thing. I'm looking at I went to a football match. Chelsea, and then to London Stadium, which was an Olympic stadium. I mean, these arenas and stadiums. I mean, like, that's what I think of when I think of a sporting event. Then Chelsea, the soccer team, is now coming for a tour in the summer here. They're not playing at Audi Field because Audi Field is too small. They want to just pack as many butts in FedEx Field. That's where they're going to play. So the stadium itself sucks, but it's just like this huge thing where you can put Beyonce, you can put, you know, Chelsea, and that's what they're doing. You can put, you know, all these different concerts and this and that. So
if I'm not mistaken, that's why when DC decided to partner up with Baltimore to get the bid for the World Cup in I think 2026. I think in 2026, they lost the bid basically because FedEx Field is a dump.
Right.
We made Shade Room. They made Shade Room too much, man. They made Shade Room way too much for bad reasons.
Yeah, it's like M&T, or is that what's the Ravens?
M&T Bank Stadium. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, M&T, like that stadium is good. They've had, you know, soccer matches there before.
Yep.
That even just the whole little area there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The Beyonce concert, and Beyonce is going to be at FedEx Field. I think
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Beyonce's going to be. It was one of the perks that they try to give for. And Ed Sheeran is also going to be there, but yeah, it's like one of the perks for the season ticket holders. But yeah, I mean the stadium itself just doesn't compare. The area is just not, it's not a fun area to be in. Now, you know, again, when you go to the games and you're tailgating, you're doing this or that, that's awesome. It's incredible. It's a vibe. But you know, I even compare it to the Ravens and just being in that, you know, harbor area and stuff like that. I think it's a lot cooler. It's a lot for people coming out of town to walk around and to go to
the shops, the bars and all that stuff.
Right. Like that's the stuff that you're selling for a bid. That's the stuff that you're selling in a bid for a World Cup or whatever it is. And even you know, they were kind of talking about it with the tour that the English clubs are coming now to do for soccer for this summer. You know, again, Audi Field didn't get one. Now I love that stadium. The Defenders play there too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm going to check them out on Sunday. They're in a playoff game, but you know, it's a fun stadium. It's like a spitway across the way from the National Stadium. That's a cool little area you could walk in.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm just I'm just a DC guy, I guess. Maybe I don't know.
Wharf is not far from there. Yeah.
Right. It's just like that's the vibe that I would want. And if I'm selling something to like bidders or whatever, people coming in, like, now I understand, you know, the capacity for Audi Field is just, it's not what they want it to be to sell, you know, as many tickets as they need to, or make.
Just don't go too far down First Street over there. But
oh man,
So draft. How you feeling? What's going on? What you think what they should do? What should be going on?
Oh man, it's tough because I feel like there may be a turnaround with the coaching staff, and I just don't know that Sam Howell is the guy at quarterback. If someone else comes in, you know what I mean? Like,
oh, I'm sorry. Say that one more time about Sam Howell for the person that know who need to hear
it. I don't know that he is the quarterback. You know, we have a very small body of work.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, I'm necessarily not convinced. You know what I mean? So like, I don't think they.
Trust me, the person who needed to hear it is going to let me know that he heard it.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, if he ends up being the guy, cool. But I feel like we're putting a Band-Aid again on the most important position.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, let's not think about it, I guess, in that respect. Like, oh, okay, this is going to be the draft that, you know, we land that guy. There's other holes that we need to patch up. So, I guess whatever the best thing that they can do, you know, on the line, offensive line, whether it's linebacker, the secondary, whatever it is that they need to do, I say do it. Because, you know, at the beginning, when you start to think about, okay, what's our position? What quarterbacks are out there? There's a good handful of quarterbacks, but it's like, man, we're not getting any of those guys. So unless we're trading, you know, we're trading up a bunch of crap to do so. I get a little less excited because it's not the glamour position.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I just think if they can plug in some needs and get some good guys in that aspect, or maybe even trade back and get a couple more picks and do what you need to do, cool. I guess we'll see what Sam Howell has, and then we'll go from there. But I mean, our receiving core, that gets me excited.
Yeah.
You know,
where y'all pick at? Where y'all pick at in the first round?
16, I want to say.
Yeah, middle.
It's right before Pittsburgh. It's right. I know it's right before Pittsburgh.
Okay. How you feel about a guy like Hendon Hooker? Because I've been hearing a lot of stuff. Like Maestro, I heard shout out NFL chick Rita, on her list. She said she would have ranked Hooker as the number 3 quarterback, just kind of based off of what she saw. And I haven't seen much of him. But you know, you got Stroud, and then you got Bryce Young, and then she said right behind those 2 guys is Hendon Hooker. So I'm just curious if Alex has seen this guy play, and what you think about him.
I know I'll be honest, I know very little little about him, so I don't want to speak out of turn there, but we do have the 16th. I just looked Maestro, but again, I guess if we're reaching for a guy like that, you know, I say reaching because it's not the top 1 or 2 guys.
That's a guy that could fall to 16.
Yeah, he could, but then we're talking about is he more ready or more the guy than Sam Howell?
Right?
I don't know, you know, and then we're wasting that high pick on other areas where we could probably get a top tier guy in some other spots that we need. And so again, unless we're trading up to get to the top 5 or top 2, whatever place these quarterbacks go, then this probably isn't the year that we get excited about getting our guy behind center. So it's tough. I mean, I loved Heineke, man. Anytime he was in there, and I went to a handful of games last season. I wasn't a season ticket holder, but was always there. The games that he was playing, man, just always was fun. It was a different vibe, different atmosphere. So regardless of, you got to have a guy like that. You got to have a guy that gets everyone excited and gives you a chance to win.
Yeah. And I mean, he gave you some good and he gave you some bad too.
Yeah.
So
I was willing to take the good with the bad. You know what I mean? Because it was only bad with Carson.
Yeah, facts.
Why you think they got rid of him or let him go to Atlanta? Why did they not give him what he wanted?
Well, because he's not, he wasn't
not there.
His ceiling was, we already saw his ceiling. So I guess, maybe they thought, okay, we part ways and then we're going to move forward. Maybe Sam Howell can now be that Heineke-ish guy if we needed him to be.
I feel like they got Jacoby Brissett to be the Heineke kind of guy in case Sam Howell don't pan out.
Yeah, I mean, that's a weird one too, because obviously he doesn't think he's a lifetime backup now. He wants to fight for that number
he
1
wants
spot.
His job.
He wants a job.
I would have thought and I don't know off the top of my head, but he may know Bieniemy's offense. But I know they were talking about the Kansas City Chiefs backup. What is it, Chad?
Chad Henne.
Chad Henne. I thought he would have been a better backup just because of how well versed he is.
Yeah, I think he retired.
Offense and so. Right. Yeah. I mean, maybe if they could have lured him out or whatever it is, but a guy like that would have been better. A guy that we know is the backup, but is also going to help a guy like Sam Howell get the playbook down.
And was the backup under that system with
exactly for so many years. So I don't know if Brissett is familiar because he's been on a couple different teams, as of late. So he may be familiar with a style of offense that's similar. But I just hope that he is more of a help to Howell if they're going to make him try to be the guy, as opposed to like, someone behind you, when you're like, damn, is this guy going to take my job? Like, I need to be on my P's and Q's. And then that adds a new level of like nervousness to the QB position that for all intents and purposes, we do not need. We just need a guy in there that's going to, play well and at least not lose the game, but give us a chance to win.
I agree with you about the coaching staff. I think once they turn over ownership to Magic and Josh Harris and those guys, I think you're going to see 1 year with Ron Rivera and his staff, and then I think after this year, I think that's where they're going to part ways. And I think what's going to happen, this is just a prediction, and this is a hope too, because I want to see black coaches get their opportunity, that Eric Bieniemy becomes the head coach of the Washington football team. And I think from that point on, I think is where you're going to start to see some consistency that y'all haven't seen for quite a while.
Yeah, I really hope so, because I thought it was time to let Rivera go. I thought he had his chance. I thought, again, Heineke saved his ass, quite a few times. And if Rivera was going to get, let go, I thought Bieniemy was the guy. I agree with you, Trey. I'd like to see him be the head coach, whether that's right now as soon as they come in and they're just like, hey, Ron, you got to go. Or if they do give him that filler year, be like, look, we'll give you this one season. Let Bieniemy get his feet wet, running the offense and all that, and then he jumps into that head coach role. I'd love to see that.
What did it for you for Ron Rivera? What was the last straw?
I think the indecisiveness with the QB position. I think the fact I thought he fucked up our chances to go to the playoffs. Like this whole flip flopping.
I
mean,
the San Francisco game.
Right. And then like Heineke beat the Eagles, like it handed them their first loss. Like you got to go behind that guy and say, this is our
Yeah.
quarterback. Even if in your mind, longevity wise, like long distance, like, okay, he may not be the guy even next season, but this season, we're going to ride this thing out. He's given us the best chance to win. And then, again, I go back to that thing where, if your coach is like, maybe, we'll see. We'll see if, this guy ends up being the guy. Then you're like, wait a minute. I just did all that in those 5 or 6 games or whatever it is what his record was.
Right.
And then I'm not even the guy yet.
Right.
Now, and the thing I loved about Heineke was he said all the right things. So, he was a competitor. I mean, how hard he fought to get there.
Yep.
At least give him that chance because he gave us that chance to win and, make it to the playoffs. I mean, you saw what he could do in that one playoff game against the Bucks. I just like that tenacity. I mean, that fighter, that dog. It's fun to root for.
Man, I'll be honest with you, man. You don't sound optimistic going into this year, man.
Hey, man, I got a T-shirt. There's the company called Sneakies. They're out of Virginia. There's always next season. It's the burgundy and gold. Yeah, I wear that joint more often than I need to. But
you got new owners, man.
I know, but it's the vibe. It's always like we have having suffered so long. It's just, and look, here I am. Oh, I just got my season ticket. So there is a level of optimism that you got to have when you're a Commanders fan or a Redskins fan, whatever you want to call it. But you have to be optimistic. But I'm also trying to, toss a little realism on there too. Because
I'm gonna give you the totally unobjective things that I've been hearing about the Commanders going into the season. I've heard 12 wins this year. I've heard Sam Howell is going to be a Pro Bowler.
Oh, God.
I've heard all types of nasty things.
So everything other than Sam Howell, I heard last year and the year before. 12 wins. Heineke could be that dude. Oh, Carson Wentz is going to have a comeback season, and now that Rivera's here, we're going to do this and that.
Like y'all ain't in the toughest division in football right now.
Right, man. I mean, let's see what happens. I'm not super optimistic, but I hope it's a fun season enough to give us something to root for. At this point in my life, that's all I want. I just want a team that hits the field, that gives us, that fighting spirit and gives us something to root for, game after game.
Every week where you can realistically say, if this goes this way and that goes that way, we got a chance to win.
Right.
That's all you want.
Some realistic stuff, not like, man, if Rodgers gets traded to the Commanders, like not that type of wild stuff. But like, oh man, so a little bit of optimism will go a long way, man. And my football club, my soccer club, is doing awful too. So I need a little bit of a victory, a little positive mindset on that end. So I need some.
Hey, Train, I hate to do this to you, man. I was even asked not to do this before I got onto this show today. I was asked. Hey man, you're not doing no top 5 this week, are you, man? You're not doing no top
Someone
5,
asked you that for real?
Somebody literally asked me, "Hey, bro, you're not doing no top 5 this week, right?" So, hey, Train, we've been doing top 5s for pretty much every guest that's been on, and every week somebody calls me, pulls me aside, tweets me something. Man, who the fuck is that dude you got on here? Woo, woo, woo. He don't know nothing about, whatever we're talking about. So I'm going to ask you to...
What are you going to set me up with?
I'm definitely going to set you up. But look, man, it's your list. But I want you to put where they can find you on social media. So when these people have these problems, I can just text back at... Hey, man, go talk to that man about his list.
Now, just tell him to go to Stafford, Virginia. I'll meet him there.
There you go. Send him to Addy. That's what's up.
Top 5 Washington Commanders / football team / Redskins.
Are we talking all time?
All time.
All time. Your list, man.
Oh my God. I will be honest, I have never thought of that.
I know it. That's what makes it so fun.
In my life.
Which makes it fun.
Wow. You're really trying to put me out there. Okay. I don't even know if I can give it to you.
No order. No, by the way, no order.
Okay. Yeah, no particular order. I got to go with someone from the posse, which was the collective receivers. You know, we won the Super Bowl with Ricky Sanders, Gary Clark, and Art Monk. I'm going to go with Art Monk just because when he retired, he was, you know, held on to records and was at the top 5 of that list or whatever. So I'll go Art Monk. Again, a short shelf life, but also an impact that nobody else had, being the first black quarterback to win a Super Bowl, Doug Williams. John Riggins, again, just a plow, just a force on the field. God, I know I'm going to miss somebody too.
You are. By the way,
you definitely are.
Yeah, you are.
So are we? I mean, can I say Joe Gibbs? Because it's just a
you can say whoever you want to say.
I'm not even gonna. Let me leave him out because I gotta go again. Social impact and just the type of player and the legacy that he left behind. I find it hard to leave Sean Taylor out of the conversation.
Okay. Rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace to Sean Taylor. Obviously we can't bring in his Miami days into this conversation because we're talking about Redskins Commanders, but man, that dude and what he probably would have done, you know, had he had his
he'd have got a gold jacket by now, bro.
Yeah, man. I mean, he was just something else. But okay, to you know, Maestro riding the metro in to the city. I mean, the graph, everything, like his impact on this area on and off the football field has been you know, a big thing. So I will say Sean Taylor, and then I got one more. Man, I know I'm missing someone in the early.
You are.
But see, the thing is, okay, so I could say like Sonny Jurgensen, I could say Sammy Ball, you know, those guys, you know, were record breakers and whatnot.
Give me somebody you watched.
Your list.
I know. Well, that's what I'm saying. Art Monk I watched. Sean Taylor I watched.
Sean's right.
So who's one more? I mean, on the defensive end, I mean, Darryl Green. I guess it's got to be.
I was about to say.
There you go.
Because I was going to say, I hate your list if you didn't mention Darryl Green, yo.
Already, damn. My list is 5 minutes.
I was going to hate your list if you didn't mention that man.
If you say Darryl Green, I'm cool.
Yeah, but see again, and then like, you know, I mean, Doug Williams, you could swap out, you know, with another quarterback, you know, potentially. I mean, who brought Super Bowls as well. I mean, it's tough. Mark Rippon, Joe Theismann. You know, I don't know. I just think there's also a social impact of, you know, greats when you talk about greats. I mean, I'm comfortable with those guys with that list. I mean, that's a pretty good list. London Fletcher gave us some longevity, and
I was gonna mention London Fletcher.
Let me see who else. If I'm just throwing in some names here.
Man, they say a lot, man. I saw one of them little things on social media where London Fletcher, stat-wise, had just as good as a career as Ray Lewis.
Right.
Without all the, you know, without all the
squirrel dance and all that stuff.
Without all that, he's had just as good as a career.
And he did it with the Rams, and then you know,
he was on the Super Bowl team, right?
Exactly. So so I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to think of who else is a glaring omission on my list.
Well, not a personal.
I'll hear from the listeners.
You will.
And don't worry. And if it's a personal thing, because like I said, I walk around my neighborhood. Hey, man, what the hell? So I get that. I will.
Okay, so let me say, as far as the Commanders and Redskins, I don't cover it as much on a professional level as much as I am a fan. I'm more of a fan. So that's maybe, you know, from that aspect. Now, if we're talking about a boxing list, I would come at it maybe from a more journalistic perspective. This one's a little bit more fun because I had to really rack my brain and think, okay, who would I put on there? Who would I leave off or whatnot? So, you know, another guy, you know, LeVar Arrington, he just didn't have the longevity enough to put him on there, but he had a great impact at the beginning. Obviously, if you incorporate his college career, I mean, he's a legend. But me and
Maestro went to LeVar Arrington's nightclub that one time when he had the joint up in Largo Town Center.
Man, it used to be crime all over the sideline. It used to be crime all going on all over there.
Brian Mitchell.
Brian Mitchell.
Brian Mitchell.
B Mitch.
B Mitch might, if I'm swapping Doug Williams and B Mitch, maybe.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm happy either way. I'm good either way. But B
Okay.
Mitch is a good dude, and I was at back in the day when LeVar Arrington and Chad Dukes had their show on 106.7. I was on like a blogging competition and made it to the finals, got on air. LeVar Arrington was like, "You're the type of dude we need here." So I always have a soft spot for LeVar Arrington.
Right,
and what he meant was like the culture, the vibe.
Right.
He was like, you're a Latino dude, like you're from the area, like you got, I came in there just being me, the tattoos and everything. He was, and everyone else was kind of like straight up and down, just not like me.
You're right.
But I always had a soft spot for LeVar for that. We chopped it up a little bit afterwards.
Thank God for hip hop.
Nah, that's dope.
Right. They're really cool dudes. So I was like, hey, he got that from me. So I was like, that's a win for me.
One of the guys that when I first moved in the area from New York, when I was watching some of the Redskin games early on, Santana Moss was kind of like a personal favorite player. I never rooted for the team, but when I used to watch him play, because he was a Jet for a couple years before he got traded to the Redskins, and so he's kind of a personal favorite for me. And the fact that he does TV, and I think he kind of covers the team still locally. So
he does, yeah.
So
well, him, and now that you say him, another Hurricane, Clinton Portis.
Yeah.
Yeah. That whole crew of Portis, Moss, Sean Taylor, LeVar Arrington, that early to mid 2000s team
that
had a couple.
Mark Brunell, was that Mark Brunell at quarterback?
Brunell was the quarterback at the time, and then the transition to Campbell for a few years. That kind of era. Those were a couple of fun teams. They made the playoffs a couple
Jason
of times.
Campbell's, in other words, okay players.
Oh man, you bring it. In other words, okay players. Hey, I had a couple lines. I had some bars.
Yeah, you had a couple lines. Okay, I'm gonna tell you the argument that always gets me hot amongst people who know me and you from music.
Mm-hmm.
Melvin always, and Trey, you know Melvin.
Yep.
Every time we get drunk and have this conversation, yo, A-Train killed you on that shit.
Hey, I plead the fifth.
I do not.
Hold on. That was one of my better ones, but that was more towards the end too. I will say. So I was like, and I remember going in and I kind of pieced a couple things together. I felt really good about that one. I will say.
Yeah, no, it was dope. It was definitely dope. But you ain't killed me.
Hey, do we got footage of this someplace?
It wasn't Eminem Jay-Z
you ain't really
situation.
I think it was an even balance.
No, it was.
I think it was an even balance.
It was something that you play through. It wasn't like let me skip to the second verse or whatever. I really like that. You're gonna have to bring that one up. That's one. That's one that I'm not embarrassed to be like. Yeah, that was pretty good.
No, that was a good one.
We need some footage of that.
I posted. No, it's an actual song. It's on YouTube and all that.
I bet.
Shout out to Melvin, man, because he's keeping my name alive.
And he do it all the time. I'm like, bro, stop, dog, stop.
Oh man, I hope he puts it on too. He breaks it down.
Oh no, I don't. No, he don't. And that's what. And I know he gets to my. Everybody knows I'm sensitive about a few things, and music is definitely one of them.
Right.
He didn't break down your lines. He just said it because he knows it pisses me off. I'm like, bro, did you hear what I said? And I'm sitting here breaking my shit down.
Right.
I'm like, did you hear what I said? Like, so, nah, man. A-Train.
We go way back, man.
Yes,
we go way back.
My guy. Hey, man. Give us your where people can find you and whatever you want to promote before we let you go, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So always roundbyroundboxing.com or rbrboxing.com goes to the same place. We're I got my hands in a couple different things. So we do the @BoxBetPod. So that's the one where we do betting lines and kind of just like short talks about fights coming up and just from a betting perspective where you want to maybe throw some money. Sometimes I'll throw in parlays, if we're talking about NBA playoffs or football situations, and you may want to bet with a fighter or whatnot. So we'll talk about that. I'll put some graphics up there. Been a little bit busy with the personal life stuff, but as I get back on track on that, there'll be more content there. At RBR Recap, Trey, which you mentioned at the beginning, that's more so where we do all of the podcasting stuff. So it's RBR Recap presented by Round Boxing. We'll do sometime precaps, so previews of the fights. I got guys like Abner Mares. Again, I was super busy this past week, but I would have talked to Leonard Ellerby.
Wow.
So just different people in and around boxing. And then, I got different guys that host and co-host with me on that one. So that's more like, you hear all the podcast stuff. And then at Round by Round Boxing is the main IG. And again, haven't had it, rolling as of late like it used to, but we'll pick that back up. And it's where we kind of shoot the shit, talk boxing, graphic quotes, and all that good stuff. And yeah, just really where we do a whole bunch of boxing stuff, real stories and whatnot. And if we're covering fights, all the highlights and stuff will be on there. If you're a YouTube person, you can find us on there at RBR Boxing too. But all of those links are on the link in the bio on the Instagram, or if you go to the website, we got the little icons for the social media stuff too. So,
all right.
Yeah, you can find it there. And if you want to talk shit to me about my Redskins Commanders list, I'm at 301 where I'm from. So that's on Twitter.
Y'all heard him. Holla at that man. Do not DM me.
Yeah, but I think I named. I did not. Even said that. I think I named.
Your list is cool. Your list is cool.
Yeah, even if I said ones that I left off, and I could see the argument of leaving, some of the ones that I said off and then bringing some on. But if I missed anyone else, because I was trying to think of who else I missed, but if I missed anyone else,
now you good. As long as you didn't leave off Daryl Green, you all good, man.
Yeah. I mean,
Daryl Green and Art Carter too. You can't leave off.
Yeah, I got the closet of only a few jerseys. I got Daryl Green.
Yeah.
And then I got some of the newer guys, Chase Young and that stuff. But I mean, just don't come at me with like RG3 or some dumb shit like that. And I will block you. I'm not above blocking.
Man.
Absolutely.
That's what's up. That's what's up,
man. Salutes, man. Hey, man.
No, I appreciate you guys.
I'm definitely gonna tag the Thrillers Gone for listeners who want to hear, and we can have a healthy debate. Only healthy. Only healthy.
If we need a 2023 version, I'm not ready for that yet. Michael body me.
I'm still prepared.
Right.
I am still maniacal.
Man, I'm retired, man. Let an old man rest.
All right.
Oh my God, be safe out here, man.
Yeah, you too, man. I appreciate it and hope to be back sometime soon.
Yes,
no
sir.
doubt,
yes, sir.
no doubt, man. Appreciate you,
brother.
The second that fight gets, because I'm putting it in the air. The second Errol Spence and Crawford, you got to come on.
Yes, I will come in and drop my 2 cents, and hopefully it's not like in 5 years when.
No, hopefully it's this year. Hopefully it's
for sure.
This year.
For sure.
Yeah,
absolutely, man.
All right, fellas.
All right, fam. Appreciate it.
All right,
appreciate it. The homie right there, man. Alex Burgos, RBRboxing.com, Round by Round Boxing, also RBR Recap. You can follow him on Instagram for all those highlights and all his analysis and all that. So.
I'm surprised you never heard that, man.
It's been a while, and it's crazy because maybe when I hear it again, I'm probably gonna be like, "Oh snap, yeah." So
no, that literally be the argument from, and obviously that shit was 2010, like maybe right before Maya was born. So it was a long time ago. But
I remember all of us on a Georgetown street. And we was I guess we was about to get in a cipher or something, and Train was there, you was there, I was there. I think shout out to homie Sharif. Sharif was there too, and we was about to get into something, but that's like the only like visual memory that I have of that moment.
Did we do it? Do you remember if we did it?
I don't think you guys ever did. But
okay.
I might have to, but I'm gonna ask Sharif one day when I talk to him when I see him. But yeah, man.
Okay, we got a lot to cover in a small amount of time, bro.
Yeah, I know, man.
We did this again. I said to myself that we weren't gonna do this, but that's my man's. That's my man. I haven't talked to him in a brick.
Yeah,
so.
I had to. Well, if you remember back in I think January or February, because we knew Davis-Garcia, we knew that was coming at some point, and I was like, yo, I gotta get my man back on here, to talk about it. So I had to make that happen for us. But shout out to him, man. For sure. Doing his thing and all that stuff.
Let's see how fast we can get to the NBA, and don't worry, I wrote notes down.
I promise you. Let's just start right here, cause Because
all tonight's games is a wrap. Celtics,
yes.
Suns, Nuggets, all of that is a wrap.
Yes.
So that is 3 out of the 8 that are.
There will be no game 6s on Thursday. The NFL can have the night to itself.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
Let's get that out the way. But
absolutely,
yo, Jimmy Butler, bro.
Jimmy fucking Butler.
Jimmy Butler. Like,
yeah.
This nigga last night dude was on one.
Got you feeling like you might not have to see the Milwaukee Bucks.
I'm sitting there
got you
like
feeling like you're not gonna have to see Giannis.
I'm sitting there like, like this is really happening. Like we about to get home court in the second round. Knicks fans is crazy. So Sunday I'm at the game and we amongst the crew and stuff, and some cats is, talking about, we got root for the Heat and all this stuff because everybody want the Heat in the second round and stuff. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, you know what, guys, come on, man. It's Milwaukee. Giannis is going to play game 4, and he did like I thought he would, and he looked good. He looked good. But something happened in that fourth quarter. I don't know what happened on the Milwaukee side.
Something happened all game because first quarter he scored got 19 or something crazy like that.
20, he was getting to the basket at will. And Brook Lopez. Lopez, we gotta shout him out because he had 33 and 11, I think.
I ain't talking about no losers right now when the team score.
Nah, I get it, but that's one of those underrated nobody talks about it. Yeah.
Sure. Why would we?
Sure, I get it, but I just had to put that out there that got unnoticed. That the dude had 33 and he looked good doing it. Like he was the offensive glass. He was like putbacks and all that stuff. But go ahead.
Sure. Man. One question. In your mind, do the Heat come out of this objectively?
Objectively, man. I'm gonna say objectively. I'm gonna say no. Okay. And I've looked around all the other series. That's 3-1. We talked about tonight's games. We believe they're gonna close it out. If there is a team that can come back from 3-1, I think it's Milwaukee.
It's the Milwaukee.
I think it's them. Here's the reason why. Victor Oladipo, shout out to you. Yeah. Get well soon. The dude just has bad luck with injuries and stuff. But that eats into the Miami Heat's depth, right? So you're not going to get Tyler Hero back. And so now, Cody Zeller, I think, comes off the bench now, and haven't seen that guy. Duncan Robinson, they blowing dust off of him. And the dude, I think, in the 2 games is like 13 for 17 from 3-point range. So... maybe that continues. I don't know. I don't see it continuing. But if you can deal with Jimmy Butler, like if you can, because what happened at the end of the game last night was Coach Bud decided to not call timeout, and he just kind of let that 13-point lead dissipate. And he let Jimmy go off, and nobody was coming to help the defender when Jimmy had the ball. And it's like, guys. Like, you see a guy, Gabe Vincent, you see that guy, make that guy shoot. Like what's going on, like, with the defense and stuff. And so, the turnovers was a mess. Drew Holiday had a couple turnovers. Kyle Lowry played some defense on him in the, down the stretch there. But I think if you could take Jimmy Butler out of that zone, you can beat the Miami Heat 3 straight times, I think. And I think Milwaukee's equipped to do that. So... I think they win game 5. Game 6, that's going to be that toss-up game. Like, if the Heat don't get game 6 and Milwaukee ties that series 3-3,
then it's a wrap.
Milwaukee takes it in 7. So if there is a team that can do it, it's Milwaukee. But bruh, and I'm trying to behave myself. I really am. But the Heat winning this series, let me tell you something, bro. Yeah, I might have to go back to New York for another game, bro.
Well, I ain't gonna hold you, bro. Pat, get ready to get ready to get your ticket, bro. I know you'll like this analysis because you are a fan of history. There was a main person who stood in front of Giannis for a few years, and that man's name was Jimmy Butler in Philadelphia. I remember this.
Mhm.
Yeah, I remember this. Why is this dude who the NBA, because I was very critical of Greek Freak before he got his title.
Yep.
Why is this dude that's this tall, this lanky, so damn soft? Why is Jimmy Butler just doing what he want with this dude whenever he want with this dude?
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't leave my mind that as they saw him continuing to cook, Jimmy Butler, no point did Giannis say, fuck it.
Yeah.
I'm stopping this. This is enough.
Right.
At no point did he say, and great, triple-double, cool, all those things.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's not far-fetched to say that maybe, just maybe, Giannis still has some Jimmy Butler demons to deal with.
I thought you were gonna mention the series in the bubble, because if you remember the series in the bubble where the Heat took them out, if you remember one of those games,
too. Okay, I
it was
about that one. Yeah.
It was the game where the Heat shot a free throw and the clock was at 0 and Milwaukee lost that game in the series eventually. Yeah. I thought you were gonna mention that series.
I did forget about that part, but I forgot about that part, namely because Jimmy Butler was so dominant in that when he was when he was with Philly against Giannis. I was just like, bro.
And that was regular season because they never met in the playoffs when he was in Philly.
You sure about that?
I'm positive. Philly and Milwaukee, they never met in the playoffs because that was always a thing. Like Embiid and Giannis never went face to face in the playoffs.
I take you up. Then maybe I'm mixing it up with the Heat situation. But I know I remember having this conversation years ago about, man, Giannis can't do shit with Jimmy Butler for some reason.
There's a history.
And, for some reason. And this game, I was watching it like, damn. And let's be clear, I watched it late. I was doing something yesterday and got to it around third quarter. Yeah. It was like, man, Jimmy Butler, I'm seeing it on Twitter, Jimmy Butler going over like, all right, let me go hurry up and get to this game or whatever. And I'm like, damn, Giannis never at no point said, or maybe it was a defensive scheme.
During that comeback.
Never said at no point, the only person that's doing anything that's stopping us from winning this game is Jimmy Butler. Let me lock that down as a top defensive player in this league who's won Defensive Player of the Year several times. Some tout as the best player in the league. Like, you know what I'm saying? At no point did he say, man, I don't want to be down 3-1. Let me stop the one thing that's stopping me from being 3-1. So I don't think necessarily that he's going to. They might not win game 5. Am I saying that right?
Game 5. You mean the Heat might not win game 5?
Might not win game 5.
Yeah.
Between 5 and 6, I think that he pull it off.
Okay.
Whatever one it is, between 5 and 6. But I do agree with you that if it goes to game 7. Then I kind of gotta lean towards the Bucks because now the whole team is inspired. Now the whole Milwaukee team is inspired to not lose a game 7,
right? As
opposed to the Heat who don't necessarily got the wheels to play a game 7 with a team who's been here before.
So for you on the Heat, who's got to be the one that's got to step up other than Jimmy? Because
Bam. That's an easy question.
Yep.
But let's be clear. I think Jimmy Butler could have another 50-point game between 5 and 6. I think that's totally possible.
More likely game 6. I think I can see him doing that. Yeah.
Sure. But I think maybe it's not 50 points, but he's going. I don't see him being eliminated without him having another monster game.
Yeah.
And if he has another monster game, is Milwaukee going to be able to deal with it?
And maybe Kyle Lowry maybe gives him 23 or something. Maybe
if
he comes from the dead.
If he has another monster game, I don't know, between game 5 and game 6, I think Milwaukee's eliminated.
Boy, what are the ramifications going to look like? Milwaukee, number 1 seed, best record in the league, and but you know what's going to happen? We're going to shoot him bail because Giannis hurt his back in game 1. He missed game 2 when he missed game 3. And you can make the case that if he not hurt his back, this team might have been
up
up 3-1 or something crazy like that.
Exactly.
So I think media wise, I think they're gonna shoot some bail here a little bit. But
90 seconds. Knicks versus Cavs series. Go.
Oh, we closing them out in 5, bro. We closing them out in 5, bro. Did you? Well, I'm sure you didn't watch the game.
I did not. Yeah.
But one of the couple of things, and again, shout out to Sim. One of the things I was mentioning on the post game was Julius Randle did not see the floor in the fourth quarter, and Tibbs was right in keeping him on the bench. RJ was cooking, with the 26 points, getting to the basket, getting to the free throw line. Jalen Brunson do what Jalen Brunson does. Josh Hart with the defense. Hartenstein with the defense, the blocks. Mitch Robinson had a great defensive game. Had a block on Mitchell in the game, and Mitchell, we talk about him being a scoring machine. 11 points.
Yeah.
In the game 5, and I get it's on the road, but game 4, 11 points. That's not, if you're a Cleveland fan, that's not gonna cut it. That's not gonna cut it. Now we did blow that lead coming out of the third quarter because Darius Garland was getting off, whether he was scoring, whether he was getting Jared Allen involved with some dunks and things like that, and it was like, okay, we gotta slow this down. We blew the lead. I think we were down by like 3 or 4 points, and then the Knicks just kind of picked it back up as the third quarter was ending and stuff. So shout out to the team. Shout out to the crowd, man. The crowd is lit. Everybody's outside, and I think I posted that video of the Jalen Brunson MVP chants in the streets.
Y'all gotta relax. Y'all gotta relax on this MVP stuff. I heard that they were doing that with Jimmy Butler last night. Yeah, relax.
Oh, at Miami in the
yeah. I get it,
but it's crazy because every team and every fan in every city they do the little MVP
I didn't realize
chant.
that happened. I didn't realize that happened.
Yeah,
that happens everywhere.
I think every fan base that has their best player on the team, when they go to the foul line, they chant MVP.
Okay.
So
maybe the Wizards are that trash. I don't know. I don't know. Okay. Philly sweeps Brooklyn.
Yeah, we kind of figured that.
Kings Warriors.
This seems like this is the best series going right now.
Yeah.
In terms of it going a distance, that is.
Right. I think it's more exciting, more headlines.
Yep.
Steph Curry is starting to get it. Get to it.
Yep.
I mean, not that he ever. I mean, in this series, he's pretty much been to it the whole time. But
yeah.
De'Aaron Fox is not playing tomorrow.
He's doubtful.
Doubtful. Okay.
So what was that? A broken hand, finger?
Finger.
Yeah, that could swing the series.
That could swing the series 100%. And the Memphis Grizzlies are probably not getting out of this series, and I blame it on Dylan Brooks.
Now that game last night, and I couldn't watch the whole game. I
am tired. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Go.
Dylan Brooks, you pissed me off. You pissed me off the other Saturday night. You talking all this shit, and I put in a FanDuel bet that he scores 15 points. That's it.
Yeah.
15 points.
So that was game 3, I think, right?
Game 3. Yes, yeah. Game 3. Right after he was talking the shit.
Yep.
Look, I know he's not a major scorer on the team.
Yeah.
I just feel like you talking all that shit, you could get 15 points after talking shit. I know he's not as far as offensively, he's not a big role. You don't have a higher position as far as scoring offense.
Right.
But you could have got 15 points for me. He got 9 in the second quarter.
And then got ejected, right?
And then got it fucking ejected.
Yeah.
You gotta...
Yeah, it's crazy. I want to...
Look, I can respect trash talk. I love it. I can respect it.
Gotta back it up.
But for you to have 9 points and get ejected, for you to do that and then to come on talk about coming on with like you cop and please,
right?
Nigga, They made you the villain, or you just the fucking villain?
The media made me the villain. Y'all labeling me.
Nigga, you just the villain. How you gonna talk about King James, dog?
You just told everybody you don't respect them, and you said the nigga got to put 40 for me to respect them.
And then what's crazier? We know you're lying now. Mm-hmm. You respect the shit out of LeBron James. Because when LeBron James pulled up on you before the game, he was quiet.
Yeah.
And did you hear the audio of what was actually said to Dylan Brooks?
That you got you got to calm down. You crazy? Like you better play.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
all this shit.
Yeah.
And then he goes to the layup line, and then LeBron goes to the layup line and dunks. Mm-hmm. Like, you ain't say nothing to him right there when it was right in your face.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, man.
And he avoided the media after the game. Like,
I'm off Dylan. Yeah,
you can't do that, bro.
I don't like.
Can't do that, man.
He was stepping up on players I like. Nah, I'm off there. I'm off Dylan Brooks now. I'm off the Dylan Brooks train.
I'm off the Grizzlies right now. I just think. And look, I picked the Lakers before the series started because when you know half your front court is not going to play, and Steven Adams, Brandon Clark, and you know Jaren Jackson Jr. is a guy that he plays great, but sometimes you get him in foul trouble, and you kind of have the Grizzlies right where you want them. But that, and then Ja gets hurt and misses game 2, comes back, has a monster game 3 with the 45 points, but then last night's game where it looked like they didn't want to play in the first half, and then I'm looking at highlights this morning, and I'm like, oh snap! Like they actually could have won this game. They could have won this game, but then they go to overtime, and LeBron is the hero, and so I think this goes 6. I think Memphis wins game 5. I think the Lakers come home and they close it out.
Okay, I'm with you there.
I think they close it out, and that sets up Braun versus Steph.
Sure.
For the next round there. So
interesting. That's actually going to be a good matchup, I think.
Yeah, I like that matchup.
And obviously we don't know. I mean, I got Golden State getting out of it, but we don't know that that's actually going to happen yet. But
we don't know yet. We'll see.
I mean, Golden State getting out of
the Aaron Fox thing that certainly swings it a little bit, but we'll find out what goes on there.
Last thing, what would you like to see happen for the Ravens at pick 22? In the draft on Thursday,
Zay Flowers.
Zay Flowers.
That's the kid. That's the wide receiver. Yeah, that's the kid I want. I know they got Odell Beckham. They're trying to build up the wide receiver room, but I think they need to draft the guy in the first round. If at worst second round, but Zay Flowers, I watched some tape. Like I like that kid. Okay. That's the kid I want. Steelers, pick what? 17?
17. If the world was mine, I got a couple of scenarios. If the world was mine,
shout out Luther.
You're right. We would trade up somehow and get Jalen Carter at defensive tackle. Now that's a pipe dream. I acknowledge that it's a pipe dream.
Yep.
I'm just expressing what my pipe dream is because Michael Todd told me it's only crazy until it happens.
Yep.
Yep. I'm torn if that doesn't happen. So if we end up having to pick at 17, I'm torn. I want to draft cornerback. I'm torn between Deonte Banks from Maryland and Joey Porter Jr. from Penn State. Obviously, for every single reason,
of course,
Joey Porter Jr. But the more and more I watch Deonte Banks highlights and hear people talk about him, I think I want Deonte Banks more than I want Joey Porter Jr., even though the obvious story. But if we got Joey Porter Jr.,
that's the real pipe dream right there, is the Joey Porter Jr.
No, that's not a pipe dream for me because he's ranked 4th. So the cat from Oregon is gonna go.
Okay.
Before the cat from Oregon and the cat from Gonzalez is from Oregon. And there's another guy. I forget that.
So there's a chance that he could be gone before 17. Joey Porter Jr.
I mean, it's probably likely that he's going to be right there. And that's the Commanders. I heard a lot of people saying that the Commanders might get him right before. That's a lot of them.
And they do need defense. They need help on that side of the ball.
They're trying to get. It seems like they're trying to get rid of Kendall Fuller. So I could see Joey Porter Jr. being the guy that kind of gets them out of there.
Right.
But I think right now for me, I'm a little more sold on Deontay Banks than Joey Porter. But if we got Joey Porter, I wouldn't be mad because the whole story, franchise, Joey Porter, his father, all that stuff. So I wouldn't be mad if that happened. Then obviously we got pick number 32, and I know that's first second round, first pick, second round. Hopefully the likes of a Darnell Wright and Anton Harrison at tackle will be there. Probably not. Probably more Darnell Wright than Anton Harrison would be available, but fingers crossed. I just don't want Broderick Jones from Georgia.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What did y'all give up for Allen Robinson? That was a 7th round pick?
We swapped 7th round picks with the Rams. And we only paying $5 million of his salary.
And which was what, a total of $15 million, right?
$15 million that the Rams are paying 10, we're paying 5. Okay. That's a come up.
Low risk, high reward.
I was telling somebody the other day, I love that trade. Whoa, you what? No, sir. Our wide receiver room is young. So I'm not expecting if any production we get from him is a plus. Yeah. But I'm not necessarily expecting production from him. I'm expecting locker room leadership.
Yeah.
Is what I'm expecting from
the compensation, like 7th round pick, only got to pay a third of the salary.
Yeah, that's a come up. And if we get any semblance of him in Chicago, if we got 50% of him in Chicago, that's a plus.
Yeah.
That's a plus. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's up. Quick shout out to X Squad Online Radio, watching us on the Facebook live chat. Appreciate everybody. Shout out to the Governor Vince Wright as well.
Yes, sir.
Everybody watching. Shout out to all of our YouTube live viewers, Twitter live viewers. Appreciate the support. Props to the homie Alex for coming through.
Yes, sir, my guy.
On the podcast tonight. Folks, just a reminder, if you guys want to check us out, follow us on our social media. We got the IG account at Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast. Also follow us on Twitter at Barbershop SPOR2. We got the Facebook page. Click the like button. We got the YouTube channel. Click the subscribe button. If you got questions about the show, comments, hit us up on the email at barbershopsportstalk1@gmail.com. And if you want to write us a review, if you listen to us on any of the streaming platforms, Spotify, Google, Apple, iHeartRadio, drop us a review. Let us know what you think about the show, and all will be good. It's been real, man.
Yes,
enjoyed this one. Can't wait for next week's show, man. Gonna be dope. Folks, y'all have a great week. Enjoy the weekend. We'll be back next week with another hot one. And remember, folks, mind your business.
Drink some water.
Recording stopped.